Welcome to episode 2 of the Audacious Life Podcast, season 2. It's so nice to be on a roll here. So I am excited to just share with you someone who I'm thrilled to bring onto the podcast. He has such a good heart, and he was on my other podcast. His name is Byron Morrison, and Byron has a heart for helping women get unstuck from a life where they're last. So it sounds a little odd because he's a guy, but he really is on a mission to see women, specifically in, I guess, kind of the late 30s, all the way up to maybe 60, like that age range. These women who are moms, housewives, that kind of thing, and have put themselves last. And maybe they've gained weight, maybe they're depressed, maybe they're feeling just kind of stuck in their lives. And he has helped them through nutrition and mindset. And he had a book called Build a Better You. He has a group called Reconstruct A Better You that he actually just relaunched, and I've been in that group, and I've actually done a Facebook Live for that group because he didn't count on this happening, but what he saw was that with a lot of women who have, troubled, I guess, relationships to food, or maybe they put on weight, or maybe they're battling an eating disorder, a lot of that is concurrent with some form of verbal, emotional, or sexual abuse, unfortunately. So he and I did not know that, and we connected, back in the spring, and he was on the Audacious Mamas podcast then. And then as this sort of surfaced in his group, we've stayed connected, and I asked him to be on, really on both podcasts. So in the meantime, I was with him last week in his group, and it was wonderful. It's been great to see how receptive the women in the group are to just exploring these issues, and how abuse and emotional stress, trauma, those kinds of things. And so we worked on tips and things like that. And it was so exciting for me to see that some of the tips that I gave his group, they've already started using. One of the ones that's helped me a ton is using essential oils, diffusing them for kind of emotional healing. And so I shared that small kind of tip. That was one of the things I shared with the group. And one person in particular just kind of jumped on that. And just within a day, well, felt like a day, it's more like days or a week, she started using her oils and said she felt amazing, and she was just totally in the Christmas spirit, giving things to neighbors, had more energy to do her walks. And I was just like completely just blown away by that, and just so happy to see that just taking something that's such a small thing and implementing it in your life can really render huge relief and help you to feel kind of comfortable in your own skin, and just hopeful, and have that ability to reach out and help other people. Like, that is nothing small. So anyway, here is Byron Morrison, and we'll talk about his group and all the things that he's offering. But it started out as a way to just change your habits with eating and exercise. But he has now incorporated mindset and other modalities into that group, and he's offering entry. It's a lifetime membership to his Facebook group, where people are really reconstructing better versions of themselves, and really changing their lives in very positive ways. So I'm really excited to be connected to that. So without further ado, here he is, the Audacious Life facilitator. That's what I'm going to call him, Byron Morrison.
Up getting how they feel about themselves, their relationships with food, binge, comfort eating, depression, moving away from that, and making a positive lifestyle change. So the weight loss is just an added benefit.
Right.
So yeah,
that's great.
I really haven't seen anything else out there like it, and I think that's why it's kind of working. But it's a little bit slow, kind of building it up, but we're getting there, and it's kind of really making a lot of positive impact on the people coming into it. And it's just really rewarding to kind of see every day people sharing their stories, how they're getting on, the way that their lives changing and progressing, and seeing like every step of their journey, how they're actually evolving. And the fact that there's a whole community of people kind of in there pushing each other, they're inspiring each other, they want everyone to do better. And that's kind of why it's growing how it is. So I kind of had this vision when I wrote my book of how I wanted it to be. And it's kind of amazing seeing it going far beyond that.
Wow.
And it's really the people in it who make it what it is. So, yeah.
Well, it sounds like you're attracting people who are, who get you, who are, kind of exactly what you're looking for, because they probably are so just thrilled to have somebody give them permission to take care of themselves and to put themselves first for, probably the first time in a very long time, right? And encourage them to do that.
Well, it's weird that you should say that, because one of the biggest things of ladies coming into it, a lot of them will kind of think about it for a few weeks and they still won't sign up, and then they'll come back and they'll kind of have to get over this barrier that it's okay to prioritize themselves, because a lot of them are mothers and they feel kind of selfish, thinking, oh, it's wrong to do something for me. And it's all about actually empowering them to be like, you know what, it's okay, you're important as well. And if we can get your health and well-being up there, then you're going to be a lot better with your family, as you're going to have more energy, you're going to not like struggle with stress as much, your relationships are going to be stronger, and you're going to be happier. And it's just, once you get that shift, and that's what's really amazing to see, because you've got these people who are so reserved, they're holding themselves back, they're kind of locking themselves away, and then they're starting to push themselves and grow from there. And it's really, really rewarding to kind of see how much it's impacting what they do on a day-to-day basis.
That's so cool. And I was just had another guest on, and we were talking about this whole idea of women and permission, giving yourself permission. But I think what's interesting is that maybe it's because they haven't done it, so they don't really see the difference, right? When they first join, but I think after time, hopefully they will, and that will be like a positive affirmation of health and being stable in your moods with your family, your kids. Like, the benefits of this, I think, are the reason to do it, because you're not snapping at your kids or your husband or whatever, or your boss or your, coworkers. You're actually way more stable, and you're setting an amazing example for your family. So when you get better with your health and nutrition, you're taking the whole family with you. So
exactly, like a big part of this, I wanted to make sure that I could give people the knowledge and tools that they could then pass on to their kids and their family. Because the fact that we have an obesity epidemic, we're being plagued by chronic diseases, we have to do something to make sure that the next generation don't make the same mistakes that we have. So if we can give people the right knowledge and tools, so they know how to put together a balanced diet, they know how to eat healthy, how to exercise, improve sleep and everything else, and they're never going to have to diet again. They're never going to have to try these fad workouts that don't work, and they can take this and apply it for the rest of their life. Because I really don't see the point in giving someone a plan and telling them to get on with it, because they'll stick to it for a few weeks or a few months, but what then? Because it's like, I used to go to a personal trainer back when I didn't know what to do. And as soon as I stopped going to them, I had no clue what to do. And I kind of just fell off track. So that's why I'm all about teaching people how to do it for themselves. Because when they know that, then they're going to be unstoppable for the rest of their lives, because then it all falls into place. And I think that's one thing that's really missing, because you get all these diets and these weight loss groups, and they prescribe to you what you have to do. And it works for a few weeks, but it doesn't work long term. And it's just like people just go round in circles, and they blame themselves, and they think that they're the problem. But actually, it's not their fault. The biggest problem is because they haven't been provided with that framework and that foundation. And that's when they start finally moving forward.
Wow. Yeah. And I think that, and I've already started recording. I don't know if you noticed that. So we'll just keep going.
I was a few minutes into it. Like, I didn't realize we were recording.
No,
And then it went in.
Well, you're saying all this great stuff. I'm like, I'm just going to push record. We're having a nice conversation here.
Yeah, I realized a few things in. I was like, oh, whoops.
No, it's fine. So, and we'll just recap, and I'll just, I'll introduce you. We'll start, kind of back where we might want to with the actual program. But this all just sounds so good. And I just thought of a whole bunch of things. So, all right. So welcome to the Audacious Mama Show, and welcome to the Audacious Life. So today my guest is Byron Morrison, and Byron, your book is, I'm going to get it, Reconstruct A Better You.
It's Become a Better You.
Become a Better You, and your group is
Reconstruct A Better You.
Okay, right. So, and the basis of that is working with women. Is it 30 to 50s? What's your range? The women, the ages.
Late 50s. So we've got a good mix in there, but yeah, primarily 30 to 50.
30 to 50-ish. Yeah. And so what's interesting is that your mission is really to help these women not diet, but just kind of wake up and start over and give themselves permission to start taking care of themselves and not focus necessarily on weight loss, but on just wellness, like the overall wellness. And we were chatting about that before I started recording. But if you want to say more about that, I would love to hear.
Yeah, sure. Well, I've had a massive problem over the last few years with people I've been working with, and we get all these diets and all these trends. And deep down inside, I found that actually people are quite unhappy when they're going into it, and that's why they want to lose the weight. And there was nothing really out there to empower people, to show them that it's okay to focus on their life on the whole, to help them start moving forward and take back control. Because I know back when I was struggling to lose weight, I had no clue how to eat healthy. I had no clue how to exercise or where to even begin. And I really wanted to help people who are at the start of their journey, who might be feeling lost, their clothes are too tight, they don't really like who they see in the mirror, and show them that actually they can start changing who that is. And that comes by changing it with who they are within, by changing their habits, their mindset, how they feel about themselves, and really giving them the knowledge and the tools to make choices for the rest of their life, and not just a quick fix diet or a miracle cure, and actually changing who they are inside and out.
Oh, I love that. It is. It's just such a holistic thing. And so, Byron, I'll let you share your story too, because you were on, I have two podcasts and you were on one and not the other, but your story of how you came to lose so much weight and then kind of, developed this mission mindset for helping other people. Can you share a little bit about that story and your story with your dad?
Yeah, sure. Well, to be honest, like I said to you before, a few years ago, I was a bit of a mess. I was 50 pounds heavier. I was depressed to the point that I didn't want to leave the house. Didn't know how to exercise. And every day I was just struggling to get by. So I kind of locked myself away. I was just struggling to make it through the day. And then my dad got diagnosed with cancer. And in an instant, my whole world was pretty much turned upside down. During the treatment, he had most of his bowel surgically removed, and he spent 25 days in ICU. Most of that, he was on life support and breathing through a tracheostomy. And at the end of that was kind of the wake-up call that if I don't do something about this now, then that was going to be me, because he was working 12 to 14-hour days. He had a high-sugar diet. He was massively stressed, barely sleeping. And I had the realization that was the same path that I was on. So I tried everything I could to lose the weight and get on track. And I tried all these diets. I was spending every day in the gym, and I just couldn't get results. And I started to blame myself. I started to think maybe it's my body, maybe it's my genetics, maybe my metabolism's broken. And eventually I kind of had enough and realized, you know what? The fact that we have an obesity and a chronic disease epidemic kind of shows that the approaches we're taking are wrong. So I went and learned everything I could about health, nutrition, losing weight, changing behaviors, and realized that actually you can get the health and body of your dreams without starving yourself or spending every day in the gym. And it comes down to focusing on you, not just a one-size-fits-all quick fix. It's all about making positive lifestyle changes. And since then, I've kind of been on a mission to change the way people use and think about food, and show others that actually a healthy lifestyle is achievable for all. And just really wanting to change the world and the lives that people are living on a day-to-day basis. So that's kind of what I've been doing for the last few years now.
Right. And so what I found really interesting, so I mean, now people can see you. Before you were just a voice. I think when we did this last time, I don't think we did video. So, you're this young man, right? And you're single, right? You're not married.
I do have a girlfriend. I'm not
right,
married.
But you're not married though. Yeah. And you're not a dad. And right. But it's just fascinating to me that you went through this journey with your father and you came out the other side, and your heart and your mission is really centered around women, right? Kind of skewing older women. And I just, I wonder if you could tell me how you arrived at that.
Well, to be honest, like with my dad's illness, that was one thing. But growing up, my mom's got an autoimmune disease, lupus. So
Okay.
she always struggled like with that. She was on a load of steroids that made her gain a load of weight. She had so many flare-ups and inflammation, and she was one of the first people that I worked with because we had to make positive lifestyle changes, and I
Right.
couldn't take her to the gym. I couldn't put her on these crazy diets, and I realized that we had to build on it step by step. We had to get her confidence up. We had to stop overhauling everything at once because she couldn't take it with the
Right.
autoimmune disease. So, and that was one of the things. That was where I really started looking at a program that was based around reducing inflammation, small, slow and steady lifestyle changes, and really changing who she was inside and out. And that's kind of how I've built everything else around. And also, I've also always really enjoyed working with women. I found it a lot more rewarding than working with guys because I'm not one of those big fitness guys. I don't want to be talking about working out in the gym and stuff. Like I enjoy that on a personal level, but I don't find it rewarding for me. So it's kind
Right.
of working with ladies is just kind of fit in.
Yeah, and it sounds like you're just like, it sounds like they really, so just to share with the audience, so you've allowed me into your group to kind of, see what's happening there in one of the groups that you're offering, which takes people through that journey, women through that journey of learning about nutrition and kind of a more holistic approach to taking care of themselves. And as we said earlier, giving themselves that permission to prioritize themselves. And it sounds, I mean, from what I've seen and what you've shared with me, it's pretty amazing how you connect with these women. And I would love you to share some of those stories, maybe some of the more extreme examples of how they've, what they've been through without sharing names, obviously.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, it's funny. So just going back a bit, that you should say about me being a guy, because a few of the ladies come in, they're like, I'm a bit hesitant at first. It's this
yeah,
young guy. Do I want to
of
listen to
course.
him? I
Yeah,
can't relate to him. And as soon as they've been in for a while, I think ladies actually connect better because it kind of takes that kind of preachiness out of it. And it's
right.
just makes it a lot more welcoming environment. But
Mm,
yeah, some of the ladies coming into it, though, we get a lot of ladies who've gone through sexual, physical, or other abuse that have no self-confidence. They've kind of spent their whole lives prioritizing everyone else above themselves, and they've kind of lost themselves. So what I do with ladies is very much helping them find themselves again. It's not just about weight loss. Like the first thing we do is focus on mindset. It's about getting a shift that we put them in control of their lives and show them that actually they don't have to settle for this life that they're living. We give them this shift where they can start going out, pushing themselves, meeting new people, advancing in their career, getting stronger relationships, and just feeling better. Because once we do that, then we can start changing their relationships with food, because a lot of them are binge and comfort eaters where they'll
yes.
use that as a way of dealing with depression, anxiety, unhappiness at home, and happiness is something they've gone on a child. So it's about getting a shift where actually we can break that. And then we start building on it. We start changing the way that they eat, fueling the body with what they need, teaching them how to put together healthy, nutritious meals. And then step by step, it's built around their goals and the changes they want to make, and getting them to become more active, improve how they sleep. And some of the ladies coming in, you see them day one, they're really quiet, they're reserved, they're saying that they have no confidence. And then you look at them a few weeks later and it's a complete turnaround. Like there's one lady who came in who had for years and years has been struggling with eating disorders, and food absolutely controls who she is. She's tried all these groups, all these different meditations, all these, even Overeaters Anonymous. And now she posted a couple of weeks ago that she felt completely in control of it. She
Wow.
wanted to get off her antidepressant medication. She wanted to stop moving past the death of her mother and really start actually moving past everything that's holding her back. And you just see this shift in their confidence and how they feel. And just, it's amazing to see it all coming together. And that's why I'm such a big advocate that's all about mindset, because
Yes.
the way that we think really dictates how we feel, how we respond, and just our overall happiness. And once you start showing someone that actually you can be in control of your thoughts and emotions, then you can start getting them to believe that they can get any result they want in life. And then you just lead them there step by step. And by having the community of ladies on similar journeys who have gone through all of these traumatic experiences, they bring them together and they push and motivate and inspire each other. And it's really, really amazing to see, like, people just sharing their stories and their emotions and helping each other. Because if they're having a bad day, they come in, they'll be like, oh, things aren't going according to plan. And everyone kind of chimes in saying, you can do it. And it's just like, I had this vision when I started for this community, and it's far exceeded anything I ever hoped it would be.
Yeah. So what was your vision initially, and what's different? Is it just the depth of connection, or?
Definitely. I kind of, when I started my book about 2.5 years ago, I eventually knew that I wanted to turn it into a program, because I thought people were going to read this, but a lot of people read a book, but they don't apply it.
Right.
So I thought we need to do something to help them implement the changes and really tailor it around who they want to become. So that's kind of how I saw it. And I thought, oh, it'd be really good to have a community where people can get help and support. And then as I started building it out, I thought, oh, we can kind of bring people together. And now it's evolved in a way that we do weekly challenges, we do weekly check-ins, people share their stories, recipes, make friends. And it's kind of an open forum where people can get any help and support that they want. Like, the only rules I've put in place is there's no bullying, judgment, or anything like that. And apart from that, people can do or share anything. So I kind of think I'm just there to oversee it, but people mold it into what they want it to be.
Nice.
So it's not about me. Like, I created it, but it's not for me, it's for them. And I think that them knowing that they have that safe place kind of gives them something that might be missing in other areas of their life. Because it's very difficult when you feel like you're alone. Because a lot of these ladies come in, they feel like they're the only ones who are feeling depressed like this, who are being controlled by food, who have gone through all of these horrible life experiences. And when they're given a group of others who are like, that, I've been through that as well, they kind of feel like, do you know what, it's okay to feel like this, but I can change it. If they can change it, so can I. And I think it helps so much on their journey.
It's so validating, and it's so comforting to go into a group thinking maybe you have this deep, dark secret, or no, or you're broken, but everyone else is, air quote, normal, right? But that's not the case. We all have something. And then you get into that group, and if people are comfortable enough sharing, and you realize that there are some parallels there, and you can be more open, which I think personally, just having been through a lot of this stuff, including the eating disorder piece, and I've had a lot of people around me with eating disorders, I truly believe that that's an emotional thing, emotional mindset, all of it, as well as it can become very physiological, so like if your nutrition levels are off or your sleep is off, then you can start to have more anxiety and depression, and it kind of feeds itself. So I think you're breaking a lot of that cycle with better nutrition, getting out, walking, breathing in fresh air, a sense of community and feeling connected, and then feeling safe. Like I just feel like it all is connected. And I think that's so awesome that you're creating that. It's like
I agree. I agree completely. I really wanted to make sure we did something that wasn't just about diet and exercise.
Right.
And it was all about focusing on people's lives on their whole. And it really needed to be based around the changes they want to make, because you go to all these weight loss groups and it's kind of, they treat everyone the same, and they're just another number. And that's why people don't get lasting results. And that's why I say to people from day one, I'm like, this isn't about losing weight. You're going to lose weight on this. Like, one lady who's followed these practices has lost up to 70 pounds now.
Wow.
And it's just like, but for her, when she came in, she was like, I wanted to lose weight. And now when you speak to her, she's like, the weight loss is great, but I can't believe how much different I feel.
Yeah.
And that's what it's all about, unlocking and empowering people to actually stop settling. Because that's what I come across time and time again. People kind of accept the way things are, and they kind of dabble with diet, with exercise, but they're kind of scared deep down inside, because they have that voice in the back of their head telling them they're not good enough, that they're going to fail, that what's the point in even trying. And that's why we turn it on its head. Like, the first thing we do is focus on mindset, because there's a special mindset approach that I teach to people. And I'm always so excited when we get a new person joining, because I'm like, I can't wait to see how you feel at the end of the week, because it completely changed the way that I think and feel. And that's what it actually shows people, that they can start moving forward. And that's why it's really exciting, because it's just like seeing how they change within the first few days. And then from there, their whole journey starts coming together.
Yeah, that must be so exciting for you. It must really push you forward too, to just, you must be, just so filled with joy for being able to impact so many people and watching them just turn their lives around, really, between, day 1 and day 30. Even a lot can happen if you add all
Yeah.
those differences in a person's life.
It's
So
really, really rewarding. It's it makes all the long days and nights, like building it and designing it and writing it, worthwhile. So yeah, the next step, I really want to start seeing this moving into schools and workplaces and kind of helping people, because I feel like we have an obligation to the next generation, because we've made so many mistakes. Like the fact that we're sicker than ever, we're facing this obesity and chronic disease, we have to do something. And putting people on a diet or surgery or other things, in most cases, is not the answer. Like, we have to teach people that actually there is another way. They can do it without starving themselves, without spending every day in the gym, and without making themselves miserable. Because I kind of feel like we got so obsessed with the end result that we forget to enjoy life. Because that's what I did when I was losing the weight. I didn't want to go out to eat because I thought, it's going to mess up my metabolism. I'm not going to lose weight as quickly. So I locked myself away. I stopped socializing. I was embarrassed of how I looked, so I didn't want to see friends. And I spent a whole year making myself miserable to lose the weight. And that's I see it all the time, though. Like a lot of these ladies, they don't want to go out. They don't want to go to work events. They don't want to go to family gatherings because they're scared of being judged. And that's where we need to get them to actually start living life, because so many people, they're alive, but they're not living. Yeah. And that's one thing we have to change, because life's short and we really need to start making the most of every day that we have.
Right. Oh, I love that message so much. So true. So when you're saying that they're afraid, are you talking about women are afraid before they meet you to go out because they feel kind of overweight and just feel down on themselves? Are they also fearful in the middle piece? Some of them who are dieting, they're afraid that they're going to be tempted and fall off the wagon and that kind of thing, or both?
Definitely both. Like a lot of ladies in particular, they're scared of being judged. They are like, what are my colleagues, what are my family, what are my friends going to say? What if that dress doesn't look right? What if people think I'm fat? And instead they just stay at home because they're scared of that judgment. But then they're also, once they've progressed, they kind of panic and they think, I've lost some weight now. What if I go and I binge eat? Or what if I put on a pound? Or what if I go overboard? And then they go straight back to feeling guilty, feel the self-doubt. And that's why we have to change that, because you can have it all. And it all comes down to balance and not going from one extreme to the other. Because I still eat ice cream, I eat chocolate, I go out for Chinese food. I'm never going to sit there and tell someone they can't have it. And by actually showing someone that they can become free from the food controlling them, then they can start enjoying it for what it is and not feeling guilty every time they decide to have a burger or a chocolate bar or whatever it is. And that's when they start moving forward.
Yeah. Oh, that's amazing. And I think for people, there's two things that cropped into mind, but for people who have eating disorders and are mentally controlled, they might look fine on the outside. They might look their ideal weight or maybe too thin or whatever, but they're being controlled by food. It's in every second of every thought, at every turn, and every magazine they look at, every food commercial, TV show. Like, people have no idea how much that can grip every aspect of your life. So even just having that removed is a huge weight, metaphorically and for real, right? Because you're just like, oh, I'm moving around free in the world and I don't have these thoughts in my head that I'm not enough and I can't eat that, and all these crazy rules that you can come up with when you have an eating disorder or, just disordered approach to eating in general. So I think that's huge. It sounds like you're addressing that piece of it. The other thing I wanted to ask you about is there anyone in your group who has experienced success joining you, but they're getting maybe knocked down from the outside, or somebody's trying to hold them back at all? And I'm asking because there's definitely a segment of my audience who probably are in that scenario where even when they have little wins, they have somebody around them who's kind of trying to poke at them and make them feel small or like they're not going to succeed.
Yeah, definitely all the time. You get ladies sharing stories that maybe their partner's not on board, their husband doesn't kind of understand why they're doing it, their family and friends aren't understand why they're making time to exercise, or they're cutting down on drinking, or they don't want to go out and have a burger and pizza and would rather go have something else. So that's why it's so important to have the community and show people that they're not alone in it. Because in the past, they would have just been like, do you know what? I'm not going to fight this battle. It's easier to give in, to give the kids whatever they want, to kind of just make life easier. And you do get all the time in anything that you're trying to do. There's people who aren't going to be on the same path, who are going to try and drag you down.
Yeah.
And that's kind of one of the messages I try to get across to people, is the people that you surround yourself with, they're either going to pull you up or they're going to continue dragging you down. And that's why you have to change your environment if you want to start actually moving forward. And by giving people the knowledge and tools of how to do it, they can then start passing that on to their family, their kids, and sit them down and be like, do you know what? We're doing this because this is the consequences of not doing it.
Right.
Because I know for myself particularly, and for a lot of people I come across, they don't really think it's a big deal. Like, we're kind of like, oh, it doesn't really matter. Like, I'll overeat, but in the grand scheme of things, it's not going to have an impact. But if you look at the fact that 1 in 5 deaths every year are down to poor diet and lifestyle choices. Right. And for the first time in history, we've got a generation of kids with a shorter life expectancy than their parents. It means we can't actually ignore this anymore, because the consequences of our actions have caught up with it. And it's now a matter of when, not if. So by empowering people and showing them this is how you do it, they can then pass that on, and they can kind of remove a lot of the conflict in there. Hopefully that answers your question. I didn't go off on too much.
No, that's great. And I think what's fascinating, and I've noticed this in my own kids, so mine are now 5 and almost 10, and my older daughter, like most kids, I was pretty healthy. I'm gluten intolerant, and I'm kind of sensitive to like food dyes and that kind of thing. So I've been a little bit more aware. But when she went through her toddler years and there was more sugar or carbs or whatever, and then she came out, my older daughter came out the other side, and I was not obsessed with food at all, but I would talk about nutrition. And so she had some mood disorders, and she just sort of has become really in tune with what her body likes and doesn't like. And she's decided kind of on her own that less sugar makes her a happier person. And she really likes eating fish and protein and chicken and veggies and that kind of thing. She'll still eat, candy or a cookie here and there. My other daughter started out eating really healthy as a baby. And then when she hit, and even through her toddler years, and then she hit an age where she was starting to eat like the typical kid. So just craving carbs and sugar and whatever. And I can totally see the mood swings and the correlation between the acting out and what she's had that day to eat and her blood sugar level and whatever. So I think that that's the other piece. It's like when you have a poor diet and it affects your sleep or anxiety, you really don't even know what the difference could be until you try it. So you detox from a lot of that stuff, and then you start to think more clearly. Your cravings start to fade away. And if you're sleeping better, like, you're just more grounded. I know, because I go through periods where I have no sleep or I'm eating more carbs or whatever. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm a crab. I'm like, this is no way to live. Right. And so then you just hopefully see that and default back to better sleep hygiene, and just eating more nutritionally. But again, I just feel like you can't even, the reward is how you feel too. I guess that's what I'm trying to say, but you don't know that until you try it.
It's funny you should say that, because pretty much a direct quote from my book, I think I said something like, I honestly didn't know how bad I felt until I started to feel better.
Right.
Because back when I had a high processed diet, I was living on sugar, takeaways, microwave meals. I didn't know that the low energy, the bad sleep, the depression, the moodiness and everything else could be different, because that's all I'd ever known. And once I started making the changes, and I actually thought, do you know what? I can have enough energy. I can sleep better. I can be happy. I realized how bad I was in the past, and then you don't want to go back. And I think that's why it's all about showing people how much better they can feel, because we focus so much on weight loss, and we're like, oh, if you lose these pounds, everything's going to be amazing. But that's not enough of a motivator to get someone to follow through. But if you can start showing them, you can have more energy to be around your kids, you can be healthier, you can look forward to life and not have a hard time managing stress and feel better about yourself, then it becomes far easier to stick to it. Absolutely. I think that's why we need to stop trying to go crazy and overhaul everything at once and just focus on one thing at a time.
Right.
and just get basic habits, get the foundations in, and then really start moving forward. Because once you start that journey, you don't really want to stop. But when you're struggling to get started and you're just fixating on, I have to lose 50 pounds, then it's easier just to sit back and be like, I can't do that. That's too much. And
Right.
that's why a lot of people just stay where they are.
Yeah. It's just, I love your message. It just really resonates with me. And I think that a lot of my audience, both mompreneurs and then people who are, kind of stuck in these kind of toxic relationships or are getting out or have been out, and they're just kind of like, okay, that's over, but who am I now? And how do I move forward? It's like getting out of a bad situation is one thing, but that's not all in and of itself. You need to kind of nurture yourself and really do all the things you're saying to start to feel better, to start to remove all the layers of depression, fog, lethargy, whatever that really affect your mood and your outlook on life.
Well,
So,
that's why I love the mindset stuff that we do in it so much, because the basic model that people follow is the psychology one, where you'll see a shrink and you'll sit down, you'll talk about your problems and everything that's gone wrong and how
right.
horrible life is and how it's all your fault. And people will just get more of that, and that's all that
Yeah.
they'll focus on. And that's why what I do completely turns on its head, because that doesn't work. People go to, and they'll do it for 5-10 years and they'll still be depressed and miserable. Whereas
Right.
when we turn on its head and be like, yes, that happened, it sucks, it's horrible, but your past doesn't have to define your future.
Yes.
And you've got the ability right here and now to change how you feel moving forward. And once you show people that actually they have that ability, they can take responsibility for how they think and react, then they completely turn on its head. Like, I've had people come to me in breakthrough sessions where within a session we've got rid of their anxiety, we've got them to move on from their depression and all these other things that they spend years battling with. And it's all about just taking the approach and turning it around and being like, do you know what? We can't change that, but what we can change is how you respond from this very moment going on. And that's how we empower people. Because once you start doing that and you start showing them that they're in control of their lives, then they have an easier time eating healthier. Food doesn't control who they are. They get the motivation to exercise, to really start improving their relationships, get out of bad situations. And that's how you completely change their life. And that's why I said earlier, like, I love the first week when someone comes in, because that's what I do with them. We look at all the beliefs holding them back, why they don't feel good enough, why they're like in the situation that they are, and completely turn it around.
That's
Awesome. And that's why I called it Reconstruct A Better You, because it's about taking who you are, being like, do you know what? You've got this identity of someone who is depressed, who can't lose weight, who isn't happy in their lives. So let's rebuild that. Let's rebuild you as the person you've always wanted to be, and get that shift and get you moving in the right direction. But importantly, getting them to do it at a pace that they actually can deal with, that isn't overwhelming. It's not adding any more stress or making life any more difficult than it needs to be, and just taking it one step at a time. Because as I always say to people in the group, it's just like any progress, regardless of how small, is still progress. Because it might have taken you 20, 30 years to get to where you are now, and you just can't expect to do that overnight. So if it takes you 3, 6, 12 months to get to where you want to be, then who cares? If you get there and you stay there for the rest of your life and you enjoy the journey, then that's all that matters. But that's where so many people are going wrong, because they want it to happen now. So they'll try a diet and they'll get frustrated when they don't lose all the weight in a week. And then they'll spend 20 years going round in circles. And that's the definition of insanity, trying the same thing over and over, hoping for a different result. Whereas if actually they took a step back, took a deep breath and thought, you know what, I'm going to focus on me. I'm going to take it a day at a time, not obsess over this unobtainable end goal right now, and just build on it slowly. That's when they're actually going to get there. And yes, it takes a little bit longer, but in the grand scheme of things, does it really?
Yeah.
And it's just changing people's mindset that it's okay to focus on you and take it slowly.
Right. And and I think that, taking a more realistic approach is more of a lifelong thing anyway, because even if you did accelerate your weight loss or whatever, or it seems like things are going better, usually you slip backwards and then you start over. So I think the slow and easy wins the race kind of thing is the way to go. It sounds like that's been extremely successful for the people in your group.
Well, that's why it's all about the mindset. Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
The reason why people regain weight is they do all these diets, these quick fixes, but they don't tackle the core of the problem, which is their mindset, their relationships with food, their habits. And that's why you'll see all these amazing transformations online of people losing all this weight, and then a year later they've put it all back on.
Exactly.
It's the same as weight loss groups. 86% of people who stop going put the weight back on, and that's because they focus so much on the weight loss, they don't focus on who the people are as a person.
Yep.
As soon as they go slightly off course, it all falls apart. And that's why, by saying that, you know what, yes, what you eat is important, yes, how much you exercise is important, but first let's focus on you. Let's change your habits, your behaviors, how you feel, and then the results you get you'll keep for the rest of your life.
Love that. Yeah. And I think so you're just giving people permission to just step back, forgive themselves, because they're probably beating themselves up anyway, based on whatever situation they're in, and just really put themselves first, give it a try, and see how they feel. And I just think it has like a snowball effect, a natural snowball effect. The better you feel, the easier it gets to keep putting yourself first, because it's kind of rewards itself, and everything around you starts to get better. Life looks better. It's not a magic situation, but it is pretty amazing what can happen when you do that. So how can people, so say the name of your book again, Byron.
It's Become a Better You.
Become a Better You is your book, and your actual program that if somebody wants to look you up or be a part of that is called
Reconstruct A Better You.
Reconstruct A Better
You.
You.
You can find out more at reconstructabetteryou.com.
Okay. Yeah, and I can put that in the show notes. And so explain just a little bit about if somebody joins that, what that setup is look like. It's a Facebook group, right?
Yeah, well, basically there's two parts. The community is run in a Facebook group, and the programs run through a different website where people can access on mobile, tablet, laptop, or whatever it is. And basically when someone joins, they'll get the online program where every single day a new piece of it's unlocked, and it really takes them step by step throughout their entire journey. So every 24 hours they unlock the next path, because I didn't want to give people everything at once because that gets too overwhelming. So instead we take it slowly, and the program itself is a 10-week program, but people can do it in their own time. So some people take longer. And it kind of, like I spoke to you about, what we do first for 2 weeks is we focus on mindset. We get the shift where we put the person in control of their life, but overcoming the beliefs holding them back, moving past the depression, managing stress and everything else. And then we move on to diet. We start changing the way that they eat based on foods that they actually enjoy. Because when you teach someone how to fuel their body with what they need, what it needs, how to put together healthy, balanced meals, what are the basics of nutrition, how to eat to get your weight loss goals, they don't have to restrict anything, and they don't have to follow a strict meal plan, because they know how to do it, and they can then pass on to their family as well. And then from there we start building on it further. We add in exercise, we add in different at-home workouts, and we start looking at everything from improving sleep to getting your energy levels up, and everything's tailored around the person, their goals, the changes they want to make, and really building it from the ground up. And then to keep people consistent, because that's the one big problem I found is consistency. We do weekly challenges in the group where as a team people do a task. We do weekly check-ins, weekly cooking challenges. We do help support people who've got access to me, and it's really all about making it about them and showing them that they can make changes. And that's what I'm really excited about, because we're growing it all the time. Like I'm adding in new sections at the moment of dealing with conflict, how to improve willpower. There's cooking lessons. We're shortly going to be adding in at-home yoga and a whole host of other things. So just kind of see what people need to help on their journey and growing it from there.
That's great. And so when somebody joins, are they thrown into the bigger group? Do they come in waves, like in cycles? So you have people, or are they just starting all at different times?
People can start at different times, because it's kind of everyone, regardless of when they join, is going to be on a different step in their journey.
Sure.
I think it's quite nice when you're a new person coming in and you see someone a few weeks into it, how well they're doing. And you can kind of look back at what they shared at the start. You can kind of be like, oh, if that person can do it, then there's hope. Because I think a lot of people don't have that hope. They've been kicked down so much by all these diets, these pills and everything else. And they just need that little bit of a push to be like, do you know what? It's okay. You've struggled in the past, but you don't have to struggle now. So by having the people who have already gone through it kind of helps them.
Nice.
And it's kind of, as we spoke about before as well, I know as a guy, people at times, especially initially, might be like, oh, can I trust him? Do I want to listen to him? But when they see other ladies being like, that was me, that was what I struggled with,
Yeah.
look at what I'm doing now, it very, very helps on the journey.
Sure. Love it. Well, you definitely have the right mindset yourself, and you have a heart for this. I love that. So this has been really, really helpful, Byron, and I'm so excited to share this with my audience and help them find you and find themselves through you if they choose to work with you, because I think that you are, as you said, I think it's a pretty unusual approach to really looking at it in the most holistic way versus focusing on the numbers, the scale, the calories, the fat, the whatever. It's just like the number of minutes you worked out, all that stuff. It's not about that. It's about all of it kind of together. And it's just such a beautiful way that you're doing it. So I just want to applaud you for doing this for women. I just think it's amazing. And I love that your vision is bigger and you want to do this in schools, which bravo.
Yeah, we're looking at something at the moment. In the next 6 months, we're going to start a big campaign across the UK and America, kind of putting nutrition and education at the forefront, because I think it should be a basic life skill. It should be right up there with knowing how to read and write, because this is something that you have to do 3 times a day, every day for the rest of your life. So it's kind of my mission to be the person championing that. So I can't speak anymore for this.
That's okay.
Being up there, like really pushing it and showing people that actually there is another way.
Wow.
They don't have to spend their life struggling.
That's awesome. So what is that program called?
There isn't yet. We're still busy building that out.
You're building it. Okay.
Busy putting everything together. So
awesome.
it's going to be coming out in the next 6 to 12 months. So it's going to be exciting times.
I have to have you back on again. Talk about that. I love it. Well, thank you so much for your time, Byron. I will put the links to your website. It's Byron Morrison, and you're Morrison. Is that right?
Yes, that's right.
Okay. I don't know why. I always want to put 2 S's. I don't know what that is. It's silly. Okay. Reconstruct A Better You. And your book is?
Become a Better You.
Become. Why can't I not remember that?
Don't worry. The next book's going to be called Reconstruct A Better You. So
there you go. So I can just focus on that. Become a Better You. All right. Well, this has been a pleasure. I'm so excited to be a part of what you're doing and promote it. And I just thank you for taking time out to do this. And
thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
I appreciate your time, and you have a great day.
Okay, ladies, as you can tell, I was not exaggerating. He has such a great heart. You can tell he's sincere. He's really on a mission to help us, and he has a special offer for this audacious community, and the bit.ly link that you can use to see what he's offering, and it's a lifetime membership to his Facebook group. There is a price, but it's pretty low. So don't be intimidated if it sounds like it's going to be this very expensive thing. It's actually quite affordable. It's a one-time price, and it's for a lifetime, which I think is pretty phenomenal. He could definitely be charging way more given the results that he's giving. So the link to use is bit.ly. It's bit.ly/A Reconstruct. And that's all lowercase. bit.ly/AMAMASRECONSTRUCT. Mamas Reconstruct. bit.ly/Mamas Reconstruct. Hopefully you got that. I'm putting it in the show notes. So if you're on iTunes, you can usually just scroll down depending on which version you have. There's a new version of the podcast player. So if you're on the iPhone, I should say, not iTunes, you can usually scroll down to the episode information and you can see the links right there. Or if you're on the old version, you might have to tap the I symbol to see that. You could also go to audaciousmamas.com and click on Byron's episode there, and in the show notes, you will see all of the links mentioned in this episode, this one in particular, and I would be really excited to see you in the group. I'm a guest in the group and enjoying my time there, and Can't say enough about him, and can't say enough about what it would mean to vote for yourself if any of this conversation applies to you, and kind of moving yourself forward for 2018 and starting the year fresh with support and just really reconstructing a better you, which I think we all need to do. All right, hope you guys have a great day, and I will see you on the next episode.